Yeah, sorry for that. I think this is the first day and there are a lot of things which is going on. I'll just drop this idea of doing a Go Facebook live, YouTube live. So, some technical issue. We'll start now. Okay. Anyway, so what I was actually saying, that we will be trying to focus on the migration project. But before we go to that, we need to understand some basic DevOps stuff. So let us understand some DevOps stuff. Okay. So the SDLC cycle, DevOps engineer role, what exactly you will be saying yourself as a DevOps engineer role and other things. Okay. So let me start that. People are okay. So let me start that. So Dev SDLC cycle. Okay. If you see this picture here, this will signify your SDLC cycle. Better, I'll have another PPT. Let me start here. Okay. So when you develop any software, okay, in a company, you need to go through some phases. That software development life cycle, okay, is called as SDLC cycle. So in that the first phase will be planning phase. After that, there will be coding. Then once the coding is done, we will be building it. Means we will be compiling it, packaging it, and then we'll be testing it and releasing it to the releasing and deploying it to the server where the customers will be able to see the things. And then finally, once we release it, we'll have to monitor as well. That means the whole infrastructure we need to do monitoring with the help of some certain tools like New Relic, Splunk, and other things. So which we'll be doing here. So this is basically the SDLC cycle. Basically, what exactly we are saying that okay, if any developer is developing any code, maybe he's trying to develop a website, a web application, maybe this website, okay, or any other website. So he need to code things. So where he will code, he will code in his laptop, maybe using Visual Studio Code. Okay. So this is the tool which he will be using, and he will start writing some Java code or something like this. Okay. Once he write that, he'll try to he so before we write, first of all, the planning phase be there. Planning phase will be there, but that planning phase will be done by the project managers and other things, and then they will assign some tickets um to the developers. Okay, to the developers, and then developers will write the code through Visual Studio Code, and they will build it through Maven after compiling and packaging it, and then finally we will do the testing phase. Okay, which through Selenium, which is the automation tool, or maybe they will use JUnit, okay, for unit testing, and finally they will release it, deploy it to the tools like generally first Puppet, Chef. These are some old tools which some companies are still using it, but then mainly now people use Ansible, okay, to deploy the code, right? There are other tools also. We will see here in our class in L2 class, like how you can use Ansible to do the deployment and other things. And finally, the operation phase will be there, and then you will use monitoring tool like New Relic, Splunk, and other things. So all these tools will come. If once you understand all this many tools, you can actually work in a real life environment. You can say I'm a DevOps engineer. Basically, all these tools. What is a DevOps role now? If suppose somebody is asking you, that means the DevOps role is you need to work and implement all these tools. Okay, in your current environment. It might happen that you are not working very closely. Like suppose you are just using Jira. You're not. You didn't install Jira in your infrastructure. You are just a user of a Jira. It might happen. Or maybe in your company, you have installed Jira. Like I am working in a company where I have to install Jira, I have to apply patches in Jira, and I have to do all the things in Jira as well. Mainly in some companies, you will do end to end. Everything will be with you. Or in some company, you will not be working on lot many things. will be working on maybe only New Relic and in the AWS cloud thing and Ansible thing, and you will not work on the other things. Okay. Or sometimes in your company you will be working in you will work in end to end, like I am working, where you will have all the phases you will be working on. But then it depends. We will try to show you all the phases in our course. Okay, so that wherever you land, you will have that knowledge and you can actually implement those things. So there will be certain projects which will be there in our course, which we'll be discussing later. But then basically, as a DevOps engineer, your task is, once these developers develop the code, your developed code should be running here in this particular server where your users will come and see. And you need to create this kind of a pipeline. So what happens that anywhere, if there is a if anywhere there is a block or there is a pipeline failure, you need to come up and you need to fix the issues. Okay. Suppose this Jenkins job is failing. Maybe the code build job is failing. Okay. You need to fix the issue. Maybe the deployment didn't work fine. Okay. Maybe the Docker file, or how you deploy. There are multiple ways how you deploy. In this architecture, there will not be any Docker file. But then in this architecture, there will be a Docker file. So if suppose the Docker file is failing because of some reason, okay, your Ansible is working fine, but then your Docker file has some dependency because of which it is failing. So you need to work on that. So what I'm explaining for freshers, for you to understand is this, that this is a pipeline, some pipeline for copying a code from developer's machine. That means from this Visual Studio to the server, where your finally users will come and see the changes. In this phases, if there is anywhere any break, anything is broken, you need to come up and fix the issue. Who? DevOps engineers. Okay. There can be multiple different team who can work in sync. Not just it may happen that you are not working on multiple things, everything here. Maybe you are working only through Jenkins, and then there will be another team who will be working on the writing the Ansible playbook, and they will give you that can also happen. Or in some company you will do everything. Okay, there is no perfect rule. But then when you go for an interview, you will say, I am doing everything. Like we are doing, you will say everything. Okay. And then they will put you in with whatever team your luck it is, right? So you can go to any team, but then you will say the whole thing. Now, I hope you all have some basic idea of what is DevOps, right? So DevOps is a way of copying a code, okay, or it's a way so that developers product, the code, okay, is shipped, or before it's shipped, it is compiled, it is packaged and shipped to the right place where customers will come and see those things. Okay. Your task is that this whole pipeline should work properly. So that means if there are in your companies, there are developers you hired and they are writing code in their laptop. And once they write the code in the laptop and there are customers here, all these customers, you will not give the address of these developers that they will go here and they will check the things, right? You will give an address of this particular server to these customers. All these customers will hit this server. How will they hit the server? Server will have an IP address and a private IP. All this is very important for freshers to understand. Okay, think like a server will be there which will have a public IP and a private IP, and all these are customers. Customers will use a domain. This domain will point to a public IP. In this scenario, in this case, because there is only one server, So the domain will point to directly a public IP. What is public IP? What is private IP? Just hold your horses. I will explain you in just few minutes. Okay. But then for now, just listen to this like as a senior, somebody is saying you, and then you note it down that there is something public, private. Okay. So customers will go to a central server where your code is present. This code is a compiled code, packaged code, which is present here. Who will do this compiling and packaging? It is your job to do this. So your job is to pass this code through an engine, and that engine is going to do what? It is going to do compiling, packaging, and then shipping. Okay. Obviously, testing is also there here. Okay, and then shipping. So all this is your job, the high level thing. This whole thing to do, you need to create the whole architecture. There will be pipeline here. Multiple steps will be there, which we'll discuss. Okay. But for now, we need to understand this thing, this server thing. Now, how to create this server? What is this public IP, private IP? Where to create this server? First of all, so we'll try to use which particular cloud environment, maybe AWS or Azure cloud. Which cloud we need to check? Okay, and then we need to understand, okay, how this code is present here, how we will run the code. So we'll try to do all this manually, like we will try to keep the code here. So need to see that how to keep the code, where to keep the code. Before you keep the code, do you need to install something here? Like, so suppose if you want to open a code in your laptop, you need to install Visual Studio Code, right? This is a software. Similarly, in this particular computer, in this server, if you want to do something, you need to install something. Maybe you will install JDK, okay, Java Development Kit. So what kind of Java version you will be installing? Again, if you install JDK, who is going to run the JVM? So for JVM, you need any other software like maybe Tomcat or WebLogic or WebSphere. Okay, those things. So you need an application server. You need a web server. You need a complete set middle tier. Okay, we say middle tier. So there is something called client tier, middle tier, database tier. So all these things you need to understand before you move to the DevOps world. So this is what our whole task in this 15 hours we have to do this, so that we can make ourselves comfortable for the DevOps journey, which will be our next part. Till this, any doubt from anyone before we move ahead? Any doubt from anyone? You have unmute access if you want to ask anything. Okay. So it's pretty simple, right? So now, what you have to do, as I told you that we'll be focusing on this particular thing, to understand the network concept. Now we'll try to start our course curriculum. To understand the network concept, what we have done, we have focusing on this particular project. The project name is Migration of On-Premise App to Cloud, to understand VPC concept, or to understand basically AWS, how to start our AWS journey or a cloud journey. Okay. So what I am saying, these servers will be present in data center. Can anybody tell me what is data center? Data center is a place where what we do, we keep data, obviously. But can we just keep data there? No, right? We need to process data as well. Am I making sense? What we need to do, we need to process data. So we just don't keep data, we process data as well. So now what are we doing? Let us understand. So we will be doing a migration activity. We'll try to take one example. Think that you all have joined your company, first company where you are doing a migration activity. So migration of app from on-premise to cloud. This is our task. Fine. Now, what is on-premise? On-premise data center to cloud data center. Okay. So think that this is on-premise and this is cloud. Now, which cloud it is? Maybe we are talking about AWS. So this is what we are doing migration. Simple. So here, what are we doing? We thinking that we have some computers or some servers which are in network or some devices which are in network. So if these devices are in network, all these devices will have an IP address, Internet Protocol address. So if this particular server, wants to connect to this server, if this server wants to connect to this server, or here, what you need? You need a device address. Okay. And that device address is nothing but IP address. I'm going through very basic, okay, because I'm considering some of you as fresher. Okay. So IP address. Very good. We'll type. Now, what kind of IP address? There are two type of IP address. One is public IP, another is private IP. All these servers will have what kind of IP? Private or public? Private IP. Okay, all these servers will have private IP. Private IP, there is some range. Okay, we will discuss that in few minutes, but then there are some range of IPs. Okay, so first let me consider 10.16.0.2034. So this is one of the IP address. This server will have an IP address, this 35. This server will have an IP address 37. Something like this. So all these servers will have certain IP. So we will consider that in all these servers, there are some application running. So why we will have these servers? Not for fun. We'll have to run some application. How many type of applications are there? Web application. Okay. Again, desktop based application, mobile application. There will be something which will be running, some software which will be running here. Okay. So think like there is a software which is running. This particular software is hosting, suppose, one file. Okay, so you will create a very basic file, maybe suppose index.html file. That index.html file, you will keep it here and you will try to access through browser. So I'll try to create a server and in that server, I'll install something and this will keep this file, HTML file, and will send a GET request. So what generally customers do? Customers send a GET request of this index.html that will come all the way to this particular server. How this particular request will come to this server only? Why not to this server? Because customer will suppose type abc123.com in their browser. Okay, so this is the browser where they type. And once they type this in the browser, this is called domain. This domain will be mapped to a certain IP address. So for internal connectivity, correct? Internal connectivity. What does that mean? For this to this, for this to this, I told you there is a private IP required. But then now from where we are connecting? From outside we are connecting. Outside means it's a public side, right? So public means 0.0.0.0. So we will connect from here to inside. So this is what from outside public network, external network, it is coming inside. It's an inbound request to this particular server. Now this server should have a public IP because it is directly connecting. There is no other thing here. So we will try to connect abc123.com, a domain, to this particular direct server. So it should have a public IP. So this server is also having private IP, maybe 10.16.0.38. Okay, so this server is also having a private IP, but also have a public IP. It is not mandatory that all the servers will have a public IP. Whatever servers are required to be exposed outside, we will assign a public IP to it. How to assign a public IP, we will see. There should be a public subnet where you should create this particular server and all those things. But in your on-premise environment is nothing different with from cloud. Don't think that, okay, my on-premise environment will be little different from cloud. But network is everywhere same. Okay, network means network. So this network is an on-premise. Now, why we are saying it is an on-premise? Because the capex and the opex is yours. So your company is incurring this particular capital expense and the operational expense. What is capital expense? These physical servers they need to go and purchase from market, capital expense. This land they need to lease where they will build a building and then they will keep these laptops or where they will keep these computers or servers. This is capital expense. Operational expense, they need to hire engineers and then they will apply patch. Then there are a lot of licenses they need to purchase and they will have to keep giving that subscription and all those things. That is all operational expense, right? Power supply and all those electricity bill and everything is operational expense. So a company spending both the things on premise. A lot of money they are spending. Think that they are spending around $40,000 every month. Okay, which is again very less. A company having an on-premise data center, they will spend a lot of money. Okay, I'm just giving a very basic. So once they are spending this much of money, now think that the scenario is they wanted to move to cloud because they wanted to save a lot of money because in cloud there is no capex and only opex. So you need to give cloud is like rent providers, right? They will just provide you rent, these servers and computers and all those things, correct? If you need a public IP, they will give you elastic IP. Okay, use this IP and attach it to your server. If you want that, I don't want elastic IP, I need a dynamic IP. So, okay, fine, that is free. Take it. So they have a lot of options, whatever you want to take, but then you need to pay the rent for it. Okay. How much ever you will use, that much money you need to pay. Okay. Like these physical servers in on-premise, developers are not coming, suppose, in Saturday, Sunday. So there is no development required, or there will be no development servers necessity in Saturday, Sunday. So, but then in on-premise, because you already purchased physical servers, you need to keep it up, right? It will anyway incur you cost. But in cloud, what you will do, if it is not required, you will create an architecture in such a way that you will try to shut down all the non-production in the in the in the weekends. When you shut down non-production environment in weekends, it will not charge for you. The how much ever it is up and running and serving, it will charge you. When you shut down the services, it will not charge. So this is good. And this is being provided by AWS, even other cloud providers also. But we'll try to see cloud AWS. It is the oldest cloud provider, which is very famous. Most of the company is still running AWS, their workload in AWS. If you know AWS, you can easily get job. There will be a lot of documentation. You can actually learn those things. It is easy to start. So I would say encourage to learn AWS. Okay. Now, in this AWS cloud, which is what it is a public cloud provider. In this public cloud provider, you need to create your private cloud. Okay, so what we will do, we'll try to create our private cloud here. So all the company will create a private cloud. Before you create a private cloud, you need to have your account ready. So I told you all in the demo, some of you who joined, to create a account, right? Like I have an account here. So you should also have an account in AWS. It's very easy to create AWS account. How will you create? Let me show you. All these services which you can see here are your AWS services which you will be using as a DevOps engineer. Okay. As a DevOps engineer, you will be using CloudWatch, maybe RDS, maybe something which if happened, suppose something someone did, maybe you can find out through CloudTrail. Okay. Certificate manager for SSL certificates and all these services we will do. But all these services to use, all these are renting. You can rent all those services from Amazon. But before you use, you should have an account. So most of you are registered student here. So those who do not have an account, let me know. I hope everybody have an account. Who do not have an account? Raise your hand, guys. Those who do not have an account, raise your hand. Everybody have an account? Okay. So Bhuman, Vyash, you don't have an account. It's very easy to create an account. Let me show you. Today is our first day. Okay, I'm going very slow, but then trying to explain you all from the scratch.
Yeah, so I was having an account last year, but it was expired
No,
because of 1 year time frame.
whatever old wala cheez, delete, create a new one. Okay. How to create? Just type AWS free tier account, because obviously once you study this, you will be going to L2. This is my surety to all of you. Once you complete this whole course, you will love this whole project based training in such a way. If you complete all this, you will get that hang of it. Okay, so now you will be trying to learn more and more and more. You will try to see. This is what happened with our last class. So we recently started divided this whole course curriculum into L1, L2, so that we can charge very less in your L1 and attract more and more students. And then finally, those students, they like this course so much, this project based training, so they easily enroll for L2 course. Okay, and that is why we've reduced the price for the L1. Okay,
What is the price for L2?
L2 I'll inform. Okay, L2 will be around, again, not $200. It will be less than $200. Okay, it will be less than the market charge, whatever people are charging. Anyway, there will be again a project, but this is project based training. So you will get the hang of it. Your task should be to complete this project. Or maybe there are other project diagrams which will be showing you. Okay, so you will do those projects where you will have Kubernetes, you will use Ansible. It will be very big project. You may feel it small, but then this whole Kubernetes cluster you will create through Terraform. It will be very good project which you will be completing by your own. Okay, and that you can showcase in your interview with with that confidence, right? Because you have done implemented that everything in the cloud. So what I was saying you all, that you should have an account, guys. First of all, account. So it will take time to for you to complete the whole course. Okay, 2 3 months. So create a new account. If you have any old account, forget that, create a new one. It's very easy. Type here, go click on this, give your details, create your account. It will ask your credit card, debit card details. This is Amazon. You're not giving it to me. Okay, AWS or Amazon Web Services. This is same like you might have purchased anything. I think everybody might have purchased anything from Amazon, right? So Amazon, you all are giving your credit card details. Similarly, here also you will give. They will not deduct any money without your notice. Okay. They and then I will show you in such a way in the class, you will not invest more money. Only when you do the L2, you will create the EKS cluster with Terraform and all those things. So it will charge you around 500 rupees or maybe around $10, something like that. That is the max you will be investing in your study. But then the $10, you may always go and raise a support ticket and they will waive it off for you. Okay. When they will waive it off, when you have a personal account. So when you create an account, do not click that, don't give your business name or wherever you are working, don't give your email ID, official email ID. Try to give your own personal email ID. Okay. So in that case, it will be like very easy for them to reverse or waive it off. Okay. The money, if they have charged you anything extra. But ideally, if you listen to me very carefully for this whole course, it will be very less amount. So now, before we move towards this whole project-based training, what I'm explaining you currently, this migration of an on-premise app to cloud. Okay, this is a very, very important concept for you all to understand the network things. Okay, for someone who is from Java background, okay, from there, I know there are a lot of people who are from here Java background. Some of you are from freshers. Okay, for you all to understand the network concept, because network is very, very important for later scenarios when you write Terraform scripts. Okay, so you need to know those things. You need to design VPC. Okay, your cloud in your private cloud in this AWS public cloud. Correct? Here you will design this VPC, that how many private subnets should be there, how many public subnets should be there. All these things you need to design. And for that design part, you need to know this cloud, okay? Sorry, this network concept. So that's why we are investing our time here. So what you are doing, once you create your account, you will be doing this VPC, okay? Where you will create two public subnet, PB1, PB2, and two private subnet, PV1 and PV2. Okay. Here we will run the same application. Whatever application is here, we'll run the same application. And you will migrate this application from here to here. So what will be your task? To migrate this application, this code, whatever you can see here, from here to here. And then you will disconnect this line. What is this thing called? Where your customers are was pointing here. The customers were pointing here, where means it is in past. And now you have disconnected this thing and will point here. That means this domain was previously going to this particular server through to this particular public IP. Now they will not go here. but then they will go to here. This is called cutover. Okay, so you will do DNS switch, okay, or cutover. So this cutover step is very, very important. Okay, and you should know as a DevOps engineer what do you mean by cutover. So recently I took one interview and I was asking them, okay, how will you do cutover? What are the prerequisites before you do cutover? What do you think? What all things you should think before you do the cutover? Means customer shouldn't impact, right? When you move from this server to this server, what all things you should think? Can anybody tell me here before we move ahead? What do you think because before my customers were going here, okay? And I decided that night 2 a.m. what I will do, I will switch my domain to point to this particular IP address 345.7. Previously, they were going to 345.6, which is this server. Now they will go here in this server. And I will disconnect this line. So before you do this DNS cutover, what all thing you should think of as a prerequisite? Anyone? Common sense?
I think you have to
No.
do your backup.
Sorry? You have to? Sorry? I didn't get. Anyone?
Yeah, I can go. Actually, so whatever the functionality is working, that should not impact on the backend side, like whatever the things we have to migrate. Um,
No, that
so
is true. Now,
yeah,
for that only, what is the prerequisite?
yeah, we should have like the backup of the system. I would say backup of the application database.
App DB. Okay. Anything else which is very important?
Um, Maybe the network configuration.
Network configuration. Anything else?
Can you hear
And
me?
change management must be approved first.
Sorry?
The change management
Change
must be approved.
management. Change is there. That's the reason you are doing this DNS for sure. But then, okay, fine. Change ticket. ITIL process. We will follow ITIL process for sure. Okay. But then, very important thing which you all are missing means, don't you think that we will do testing of this application before you do the DNS cutover? Is
Yeah,
this
that is required. Yeah.
correct? How
Yeah.
to because before we switch the DNS for all the world, all these customers, we need to test it also, right?
Yes,
From
we
just
should test
our
it every
laptop,
second first.
from just our laptop, so that only from my side, okay, I'll try to see if this is opening or not. Am I making sense to all of you? Only for me. You will not be able to do it. Nobody will be able to do it. Only I and me, who's a DevOps engineer, will be able to test things. Maybe this index.html is having here version 1 or version 3, and you copied maybe version 1. But that is a mistake, right? Here there will be some other content, maybe some discount is there. Discount is not there in version 3. Previously you used to give 50% discount. Now you are not giving discount. But then as you copied V1, V1 is having 50% discount, which is not there current website. But then when you do the DNS cutover, everyone will see 50% discount and your company will incur loss, right? Which you cannot do. So you need to check all those business logic. Obviously, you need to check the network configuration. You should also have backup and application database. You can keep those things. Even if you don't keep, see here, I'm not shutting down my on-premise at that very moment, right? All these things will be still up and running. I can take the backup. Correct. But then, okay, all these are okay. But then the testing part is very, very important. That before you do 2 a.m. thing, you need to test things. Before you do this DNS cutover, you need to test things. So how will you do? We will try to see this in our class. Okay, host file. We'll try to use host file entry. We'll update in our host file entry this IP address with the domain name, and we'll try to see. If you are using Cloudflare, lot of companies will use Cloudflare here. At this particular domain will point to Cloudflare address first, and then Cloudflare will send it to either this or this. So in Cloudflare is a tool which will cache the, it's for edge location caching, because maybe this customers, there will be a lot of customers, right? Maybe if someone is in Singapore, someone is in US, how will you make sure that for both of them the experience is same, the performance will be same, means the website is fast? You should use something called Cloudflare, which will cache it locally in US, in Singapore, in London, so that the website performance will be equal everywhere. This is one reason to use Cloudflare. That is called edge location caching. Edge location caching. Okay, so all these things which I am saying, this is the first day, but I'm using all these words. Okay, as I told you in the very beginning in the demo, that 1 hour of our class you will have to invest, because in this class we will try to discuss more of the lecture. Okay, all these things are very conceptual things. Okay, why to use Cloudflare? I gave you the reason. Okay, edge location caching. What is edge location caching? So that you can give that example that our customers are in different location. My website, I'm working for an external website. Maybe you can name some in your interview, and then you can say that okay, this particular website is being accessed from a lot of different businesses in different parts of the world, and to make it fast, we use Cloudflare. Like our LWP Labs is behind Cloudflare. Okay, this is behind our Cloudflare because our customers are in different location. So I'll show you Cloudflare as well as part of this course. Okay, so now Cloudflare you can also use for this particular purpose, for the testing purpose. So there is one way of host file, or there is another way that Cloudflare you can use. You can use some agent, user agent, some kind of thing. You will pass it as a host header, so that only for your host header, wherever the agent, user agent is there for you, it will open. It will go to the new server rather than going to the old server. But all the customers will not use that user agent, and they will always go to this old. But only for you, you will come here using a Cloudflare so that you can test. This is one way to do the testing. Another very easy way is this host file. Update the host file with this IP address and test it. Ask your testing team also to do that. They will do the testing, and everything is good, they will pass it. Okay. And then you can do the DNS cutover. So all these things are very important for the migration, these concepts. Okay. Now we will try to focus on this VPC part. To create VPC. To create a VPC, we need your AWS account. Those who do not have an AWS account, create it. So to create an AWS account, we will try to go to our AWS account, which I have told you all. Once you are in AWS, you will see there will be multiple services. Okay. I wanted to see all of you tomorrow. I hope everybody have enrolled. There are 12 participants or 13 participants enrolled for this course till date. And I can see here 11 are there. Maybe 2 will see videos. I don't know. Some of them will see the video count. I am not sure how many people joined here. Registered people. We have only 20 slots. And and I want you all to create an AWS account so that tomorrow we can start understanding the network concept. The total how many IPs are there, what are private reserved private IPs, what are public IPs, and how to calculate the CIDR of any VPC. So we created this many VPCs here. We have 4 VPCs, 4 cloud, 4 small cloud like this in our account. 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Every cloud you see IP range is different. Can you see this? These are nothing but my CIDR. So you need to tell Amazon that this thing. Once you tell this, what you have to do, you can see here, CIDR is nothing but a combination of an IP address / this number. What is this number called? Whoever attended my demo, tell me. In demo, I told, what is this number? The last number after / is called Mujahid.
Subnet mask.
It is called?
Subnet mask.
No, it is not subnet mask. It is net mask. Just net mask.
Okay.
Right? It is a net mask number. So we will have to, how many IPs I will get from this particular CIDR? Who can tell me? Who joined my demo? Total how many bits are there in this IP range?
32.
32. Why 32?
Like 8 bits each. 8, 8, 8.
Four
Because
octets.
every decimal is a octet. So 4 decimal, that means 4 octet. Octet means 8 bit. 4 into 8, 32.
32.
So now there will be 32 bit. Here you see IP address is there. Where is that? Calculation was there. Somehow deleted. Anyway, here you see this one. Okay, 32 bit. So this 10, 17, 00, we can write like this. Now, I am saying here 24. 24 means how many total IPs? 32 minus
256.
32 minus 24 will, how much you will get? 8. So
8. Yeah.
2
8.
to the power 8. 2 to the power 8 is total IP. How much I will get?
256.
Yeah, whatever.
255, but only
Whatever the
253
number
are
is.
included.
Okay, so yeah. And then obviously there will be some IPs which are reserved. Okay. There are total 6 IPs which will be vested, which will be reserved. Some are broadcast IP and other things. Okay. You can always, I can give you that document in the Slack channel, which we'll be discussing in detail. But then we'll have to understand this whole calculation, which we'll be doing tomorrow. So I want you all, somebody to volunteer. So this class, I will not be doing every time things. I want you all to join with your laptop so that I can ask one by one everyone, so that any one of you can share every day your screen. All the lectures I will say, but then practicals, some of you will have to do, so that we can complete the practicals by like creating a VPC, designing a VPC, creating subnets, ADUC, and then route tables, internet gateway, all these things we need to create. NAT gateway, elastic IP, these things we need to create. Okay. And then finally, inside this whole network, private network, we need to create the server. And in that server, we will try to install the tech stack. And then in that tech stack, we will try to deploy my code, which is index.html or any code, Java code. Once I deploy the code, I'll try to point this particular server with the domain. And through this domain, I will try to send a GET request to this particular server. And this server should respond back to it. Means server will serve the traffic and send it to the customer through HTTP protocol. So we need to understand what is HTTP protocol, how will you send the GET and POST request. Okay, all these things we need to understand as a part of a DevOps engineer, which we'll be doing from tomorrow. Okay, so now today, enough of lecture I have given. But then I want, as this is the first day, I'm not sure how many people have AWS account. Can everybody quickly just raise your hand who have an AWS account? A healthy AWS account, please raise your hand. 3, 4, 4, that's it. Dhirendra, Jason, Leroy, Anil, Mujahid. What's the status, Mujahid? You all have it or no? Okay, Leroy is having. Anil, Dhirendra. Okay, get your AWS account if you do not have it. Okay, and I want to interact people more and more. Think that this will give you that clarity that how can you talk in DevOps way. Okay, because once you, the more you talk, it will be like very easy for you to clear interview. Okay, and ask questions which is like related questions, obviously, so that you will have clear your ideas and you can go for the interview quickly. Okay. Yeah, I think we are good. Let's join tomorrow where we'll start with creating a VPC. Then then it's then it's components like subnets, gateways, and the reason behind it. So the VPC will take around 2-3 hours. Okay, maybe tomorrow we'll not be able to complete tomorrow, day after tomorrow. And like this, we will have to do 2-3 hours. We have to give in VPC creation and then installing things and then installing tech stack. So all this will give us that clarity. And then we will try to make more and more complex architectures like multi-node architecture. We'll have to learn Linux also. Those who don't know Linux, don't worry. We'll also learn Linux in this class. Okay. We'll also have one example where we will try to have write one small shell script. Okay. So that we can install things. Okay. These things we will try to do here. And obviously there will be multiple cloud resources.
Rahul, one thing, just wanted to check with you.
Mhm.
This L1 course that what you're teaching us now for 15 hours.
Mhm.
After this, you said that these
L2.
projects are L1, right? With
This
this
is the
L1,
L1, L2,
yeah.
L2. You all have to join
No, no, with this
separately.
with this with this L1, can we get a job?
See, L2, L1 is more of, I will not say you will not get a job, but then complete नहीं किए ना, मतलब
Hmm.
अभी जाओगे तो क्या बोलोगे, मतलब if suppose somebody is asking you, okay, what you have worked on, so you will say, yeah, I worked, I know AWS, I know, I know tech stacks, but
Hmm.
then they will ask you, okay, Yeah, I know proxy server creation, I know virtual host technologies. Okay, you will say all this. I know Linux, which is one way good. A lot of resources are not there with that knowledge. I believe me. Okay, I am working with those guys, offshore guys. My offshore guys, they don't even know Linux, and people are getting paid. Means I don't know who to take the interview, but then they are getting paid like huge amount, and they don't know Linux. They are from different background like Java and all those. They are moving internal transfer. They're taking just showing interest, and managers are putting them. They don't know Linux because to if you just type in Chat GPT, what is important, what is the major thing I need required to know or to move to DevOps world, they will say Linux is one of the critical thing, cloud one of the critical thing, any tech stack one of the critical thing. Obviously these are very important, which we are doing now, and pay this is like the whole foundation you are creating currently. Once you have that foundation, now we will try to keep some lot of choco chips and lot of fruity सब डालेंगे उसके ऊपर में क्या जैसे Kubernetes, Jenkins and other things. All those things we will try to keep with respect to projects that will give your CV that weightage, and when you go for an interview you will see the difference. Okay, after 3 months that things are changed. You will know so many tools, technologies, okay, which you can talk that I know Kubernetes, how to deploy. कोई आके बोलता आपको कि can you deploy Kubernetes? This my one Java application in Kubernetes or one Node.js application in Kubernetes, a Python application in Kubernetes. You can easily say yes. How will you deploy? You can easily say by this methodology. Terraform scripts, Ansible, New Relic monitoring. If anybody is asking you, there is a performance, a website is taking more time. Which page is taking more time? Why this particular page is taking more time? What is the cause of it? Maybe in that page, when it is loading, there is a image which is a huge size. Maybe that image is a PNG file, not a JPG file. How will you know that particular PNG file? And then you will convert that PNG to WebP, which is the smallest size image file, which will give more speed to the website. Okay, all these things you will know through New Relic. New Relic is a superb master tool. Okay, so these things will be cleared, पर थोड़ा स्लो होता. स्लो मीन्स एक छोटा सा कोर्स करके 999 का जॉब मिलेगा. आई डोंट कर मिल सकता आपको इफ यू हैव सम
9,000 का है ना ये 999 नहीं है ना
999 नहीं, मतलब इसका दाम तो आपको 1 लाख होना चाहिए जो अभी आप कर रहे हो ये फाउंडेशन कोर्स. बट हम 999 ही करते हैं, 49. बट देन हाउ मच यू पेड? जस्ट 999, राइट? So now, and this is just 15 hours. 15 hours. But then to get your brain to that level of expertise, you need at least 50 hours. 50 hours अपने आप को घिसना है. Then only you can become a DevOps engineer. मुजाहिद शॉर्टकट नहीं ले सकते, शॉर्टकट नहीं ले सकते, राइट? क्लास 12 पास नहीं करेंगे तो बीटेक कैसे करोगे? डायरेक्ट बीटेक नहीं कर सकते ना. बीटेक नहीं किए तो जॉब नहीं मिलेगा, करेक्ट? तो 12 तो पास करना ही है, फाउंडेशन, करेक्ट? एंड देन बीटेक. I hope I answered your question.
all right
Right, Mujahid?
yeah
Okay, so we'll so the basically the answer is you have to flow karna. Okay, as we are doing, we will be teaching you multiple projects and you will be completing the projects. Okay, L2 course will come up just after this course is completed. We'll start L2. Okay, and then you will say by your own, I guarantee, okay, that I want to enroll for that course because you will learn this many things in this course, which is this course. Okay, in 15 hours, you will see how much tools of AWS you will be knowing. But then for that, I need your like aaj ka din. I thought I'll try to help you out with the AWS PPC, but then from tomorrow we'll have to speed it up. A lot of things are there which we'll have to cover. So padhana jaldi jaldi. Okay.
Hey, Rahul, can you hear me?
Hey, Kenneth.
Hey,
Good.
is it too late for me to add my wife to this class?
Sorry.
Is it too late for me to add my wife to this class to register her?
This is the first day, Kenneth.
Okay.
Okay, and not yet started anything. Why? Because people don't have an AWS account yet. Okay, we want an AWS account. So which everybody will be creating tomorrow. And tomorrow, who is going to volunteer? I want somebody to volunteer. Maybe Pawan or Shrikant. Anyone?
Volunteer to do what?
Pawan or Shrikant, anyone?
Yeah, I'll volunteer.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any one of
You
you,
can
let's
do it.
start
Yeah, okay.
with you. Okay, and then we will try to have another person every day. Okay, guys. Let's meet tomorrow. Fine.
Sure. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
Rahul.
Bye.
Bye.